If you have been following AI influencers, you may have heard of Sabrina Romanoff, who is also the founder of Blotato, but what you may not realize is that you're actually watching from her AI avatar speaking instead of her real person from some of her videos. Now, for example, for these videos with her purple hat, it is actually coming from her AI avatar generated with Heygen instead of herself. Now, these results are surprisingly not bad at all. So you can see that her videos from Heygen, it's getting at least 20k views averaging, and even one of her avatar videos like this, it's getting nearly 7k 100 views simply by blending a Reddit thread background behind. And ironically speaking, this is even better than from her real person videos for some of them. Now, in fact, she also publicly shared that she got more than 1 million views in just 7 days by simply utilizing Heygen avatar technology in her content creation. And you can imagine that these avatars just getting better and better day by day. And if we can automate this content creation process, you can easily 10x or even 20x the content creation workflow, and just simply by injecting script and let the automation run in autopilot. And this will be incredibly useful for content creators if they are lack of time or simply lack confidence speaking in front of the camera. And that's why today I'm very excited to share with you a new automation that I've built so that you can replicate these video creations with a 3-step process. Now, the first step will be to create a video caption and also a post caption for the social media post by utilizing the Perplexity search so that we can search for a viral trending news article, in particular about artificial intelligence, and also generating a screenshot automatically with that news. And then the second step will be to create the avatar and also create a video with the avatar we have created for ourselves, and also getting the video back when the generation is done. And then the final step will be to upload it to social media using Blotato. So at the end of this lesson, you will be getting videos like these. Stop scrolling. OpenAI's Sam Altman just teased something huge for next year. He says AI will be able to deliver actual novel insights, not just summarizing or remixing info, but genuinely new ideas that humans haven't thought of yet. This could mean breakthroughs for creators, researchers, and anyone using AI tools. Imagine your AI brainstorming a solution before you even think of it. Keep an eye out and save this if you want to stay ahead in the AI game. So as you can see, like the video is nicely generated with the avatar blending in the TechCrunch article and also with captions automatically created. So just real quick, my name is Grayson, and our mission at AI Builders Lab is to empower you to let AI work for you. Now, to make this tutorial super simple for you, I've compiled a guide so that you can find all the important resources like API links and also the tools I will be using. And more importantly, I will be sharing this template for free so you can download it from my Skool community, which is linked in the video description below. And once you've downloaded that, you can import it to your n8n workspace and start automating. The tool that we'll be using today is n8n. If this is the first time you heard of it, you simply need to go to n8n.io and get started with a free trial account. And once you have set everything up, you should be seeing the homepage like this. So I'm going to start from scratch and create a new workflow. And what you can do is to simply rename this to a workflow name that you like. And once you have done that, you can click on the 3 dots on the upper right corner and click import from file and just import the JSON file you have downloaded from my Skool community. And you may notice that there are a couple of red things here. It's because we're lacking some of the credentials we'll use in this automation. But what I'm going to do next is to walk you through step by step on each node so that you know the exact building process of this automation. Now, with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so the very first node that we'll be looking into is the schedule trigger node right here. So if you double click inside, it is basically telling the n8n to run this automation every day at 10 a.m. And you could actually also configure this trigger interval to be weeks, months, or even hours, depending on your preference. But for now, I'll just stick with 1 day per video generation, which is the best use case for me. So once we have set up the schedule trigger node, we can now move on to the video script generation using OpenAI's chat model. So let's just click inside. You can see that I've chosen O3 Mini to be the model because this is like a tech video script generation. I just want a slightly more advanced model to be more suitable for these type of tasks. And more importantly, the system prompt is kind of like the gist for this AI agent node. So let's just click inside. So for system prompt, it's always better to start with a role definition. So in this case, it's going to be an AI influencer content assistant that researches trending AI news using Perplexity explicitly and also crafting 30 seconds easy to understand short form video script for TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram Reels. And I've also added some of the guides here, like voice and tone to be casual, fast-paced, confident, and a bunch of other details. Additionally, also like the generation rule so that the AI agent will know step by step how it should trigger different tools. So the first step is always going to be using Perplexity to search for the AI articles, and then also prioritizing them with the high potential to hit viral and also things that are easy to understand for readers. And then more importantly, I've also defined a structured output format guide here. So it will output a script so that the script will be used for the Heygen Avatar videos, and also having the source URL so that I can access the article and generate a screenshot in mobile format from that article. And it's also included a bunch of other additional details like how many words, what seconds for the hook, and a bunch of other things here. And then it's also important to check this output content as JSON so that it returns you a JSON format for the next step. And then the only thing you need to do to actually run this node is that you actually need a OpenAI API key as a credential. So what you can do here is to select credentials and click on new credentials, and then head back to the community, which you can then find a link for the OpenAI API key generation. So once you click on that, you may be prompted to create an account or so on, but once you have done that and head back to this page, you should be able to see this API keys tab, and which then asks you to create a new secret key. So what you can do is that you can just create a new key and name it however you like and select the default project and just create a new secret key. Now, just a very important reminder that never share this key to anyone else. And for myself, I'll just delete this key after this tutorial. So what you can do is that you can copy this key and head back to the tutorial and just paste this in and save. And if this API key is correct, it should set connection tested successfully. So once you have set up the OpenAI credentials, we can now head back to the canvas and click on the Perplexity 2 node. And I'll explain what's going on here. Now, the first thing is that we have selected the Sonia model, and you can see there's also a bunch of other models available, like Deep Research, Pro Reasoning, and R1 Reasoning model. But for now, I think a simple web search, we can just simply stick with the basic or the fastest Sonia model. And you can see that I've also provided a user prompt here. And it's basically like a very simple prompt telling Perplexity to find timely citations for queries about recent AI developments. And then if I go back to the canvas, I've also defined a search domain filter to be techcrunch.com, which is the primary source that will be fetching articles from. Now, just a quick explanation what that is that basically this can limit the Perplexity search to be finding articles specifically from those domains. So you can see that in the API documentation, it's something like allow list specific domains. And in our case, it's going to be TechCrunch. And additionally, you can also see that Perplexity supports other types of options, like returning images from the sources and also setting recency filter so that we get resources only from a specific time period. For now, I'll just let everything to be simpler and only restrict the domain to be from TechCrunch. And then the only thing you actually need to run this node is to set up the credentials for Perplexity. Again, it's very similar to how you set up for OpenAI, which you will need an API key. And for that, you will need to head back to the community and click on this Perplexity API link, which I've done there. And if you have an account set up, you should be landing to your credit balance page automatically. But if you haven't done so, feel free to just sign up an account and do everything from the site instruction. And in the end, after you have loaded in some credits, or if you actually have a Perplexity Pro subscription, I think it will give you 5 credit as a bonus. You can then head into the API keys and then just click on Create Key. And afterwards, it will be able to generate a key for you, and you can simply copy it and go back to the tutorial, paste it in, and save it. So again, it will set connection tested successfully if the API key is correct. Okay, so now we have the key set up. Let's just kind of run this node to see what the search results are returning. Alright, so the execution is now completed. Let's just look at the search results and also the resulting video script. So if we hit the Perplexity node here, we can see that it successfully cited a few references from TechCrunch. So they are recent articles that is about AI. So this one is about AI speeding up pace of change, and this one is about AI shrinking entry-level jobs. And now if we hack back to the OpenAI node, you can see that it has successfully also created a video script based on one of the TechCrunch article he has chosen. So you can see that it actually chose this content, like AI affecting entry-level jobs, which is kind of like controversial and it's likely to spark a lot of debate. So if we just like copy this link and go to the search, you can see that the article is here and we'll be using this as the video script generation. So you can see that this is a script. So here's a shocker. AI is already trimming tech entry-level jobs with some facts and data, and also a CTA, stay informed and adapt, follow for more quick AI insights and update at the end of the script. Okay, so the script is done. The next step will be to have the screen capture of the TechCrunch article in mobile format so that we can use it as a background of the Heygen after video. Now, most of you think that this may be a manual step, but there is actually an automatic way to do it. And to do it, there's a tool called ScreenshotOne, which exposes an API interface so that we can create mobile screenshots simply by passing a article URL. So you just have to simply sign up for an account and go to the dashboard. And eventually you'll land to this playground page, which you can experiment with the mobile screenshot generation with different types of parameters. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm actually going to use these articles that is returned from Perplexity. So I'm just going to copy and paste this URL and paste it in this URL field here. All right. And then the next step we'll be doing is that in the viewport option, we'll be choosing just one of the mobile device format. So for example, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and just check this mobile field here. And if you just render the screenshot, you can then see a preview of how the screenshot will look like. So if I just download it and open the image, you can then see a screenshot has been automatically like this. But then there's a problem is that it didn't actually show the article content. So we're going to scroll the view a little bit to see more content. So to do this, there's actually a slightly more technical step, but we'll just go through it together. Now, if we head back to Chrome and then just go to the developer tools, it will open a panel. What we need to do is to slide this thing so that it triggers the mobile layout like this. And then we click on this button on the top left, and then just kind of hover it so that this top navigation bar is green. You click on it, and then there's a div tag that is highlighted. What you can do is to right click on that and go to copy and copy selector. So just copy this thing and then head back to the playground. So what you can do is to paste this thing into scroll into view and then just type in 420 in the adjust tab and render it. So this is essentially just telling the screenshot generator to head to the top navigation bar and then scroll 420 pixels down there so that at the end, you'll get back another image that is more suitable for the background. So if you open that one, you can see that this is much nicer, showing the titles as well as part of the articles, which then make it more visually engaging for the reader. Okay, so now going back to the playground, how do we actually make use of these flow in n8n? Now, in fact, I've already done it for you. If you head back to this workflow and click on Get Screenshot and just enlarge this URL field a little bit, you can see that this is actually very similar to what you have seen in the playground. So essentially what I just did is to copy and paste this URL with query string and then just paste it inside. The only thing is that I've replaced this URL to be a dynamic parameter so that it actually comes from the source URL like here in the previous step instead of the hard-coded link. And more importantly, you should also set a query parameter that is called SS key, which is like the API key for your ScreenshotOne account. And you can actually get it from the playground from this field. So just everything after access key equal. You just need to copy it and paste it in here. All right. And now if you execute a step, it should be able to generate a screenshot file after a couple of seconds. So now the execution is done. If we just view it, you can see that it is showing the article that we have just talked about. The next step after this will be to create a hosted URL for this particular image. And to do this, we can head back to the community and click on this link, api.imhbb.com. It will prompt you for signing up an account and once you have done that, you should be landing to this page, which you will then have the access of the API key. So just copy this one and then head back to the tutorial. We'll click on this Get Screenshot URL node and just paste this thing inside this key field. Now, essentially what this node is doing is going to hit this upload URL with a post request and send in the key as a parameter as well as the data file, that is the image file that we have just generated, to this request, as well as a file name called screenshot. And if we just execute this step, it will then brings us a hosted URL for that particular image. So now if you just copy and paste this to our search bar, you can see that this is now in a hosted URL manner for this image. So the last step before we actually go to Heygen to generate a video is to create a video caption for the social media post. So if we click on this node, it is very similar to how we generate a video script, except that I've chosen a slightly less advanced model, just GPT-4o, because I think generating video caption, it's much simpler than the script itself. So 4 would just be fine. And then for this particular system prompt, it's again very similar to how I structured the video script prompt. It's again starting with a role definition. You are a tech-savvy social media copywriter. and just a couple of other caption requirements, tone, like what should be the highlight, and also the character limit for that caption. And more importantly, I actually provide examples this time, including how I use hashtags, how I use emojis, and also the overall references for the caption, so that the AI can roughly reassemble this when it generates new caption from the articles. And now I also drag and drop this field from the write video script node, which is essentially the entire video script, as the user prompt, so that this is like the user input for this particular node. And if we just click on execute step, you can see that this is like a caption for that particular article with the hashtag that is suitable for this. Alright, now the entire first step has been completed. Let's talk about the second step, which is generating the Heygen avatar and also getting back the video. So to do that, you can now head back to the community and click on the link for Heygen, and you'll then be brought to the onboarding step for Heygen. So you can just sign up for an account for Google or Apple, or even with your email and password, and just follow the onboarding steps from the Heygen site. So once you have done the onboarding, you will be landed to this homepage, and what we're going to do is to select avatars, create new avatar, and choose hyper realistic avatar. So just click get started, and you'll see there are two options here. One is still avatar and the motion avatar. So this is actually instructions for the next step, which is to create your avatar based on the video footage you will be submitting. So you can see that there are a bunch of rules for the footage. You should submit around 2 to 5 minutes of yourself speaking in front of the camera with high resolution, well lit, directly looking into the camera, and a bunch of other gesture, rules and things like that. So just click on next step, and you have three options. You can either upload your footage, you can record via webcam, or you can also record with your phone through a QR code. So just kind of try a few times to get your best footage. And for myself, I've already prepared the footage. So I can click on browse local files and then just select the videos files that I have. And once you have uploaded footage, you can see there are a bunch of options here, like keeping ambient sounds in your recording, which you could generate a more natural sound. And also you could use AI background removal if you're on a creative plan. So let's just kind of click the first option and click next. And then you'll also be prompted to record a consent video so that Heygen can generate the avatar for you. So let's just go ahead and do that. And once you've recorded the video, then it will start validating, and takes around 10 to 20 seconds to do it. And once it is done, you should be able to see that the consent is validated. So just click on next. So after you have submitted footage, it will run through a bunch of video quality checks and also allow you to select your voice clone. So the default is going to be 11 Labs, but you can also choose other providers if you're on a creator plan. And I'll also talk about how to import your custom 11 Labs voice in case you have your favorite clone from the 11 Labs, which you could use. But for now, if you want to stick with the default model, it's also fine. So for the video quality, you could either submit it anyway if you are fine with that, or upload a new video if there is problems reported. So for this time, I'm just going to submit it anyway. And then Heygen will start creating the avatar, and it will notify us when it's completed. So after we click on done, we can name this avatar and check this consent box and continue, and just kind of wait until this avatar is finished. And in fact, I've already created an avatar in my other account, so I'm just going to use that to showcase to you guys. So when the avatar generation is completed, you can now click inside, and the video clip of a demo of the avatar will be shown, something like this.
Hey Grayson.ho, your hyper-realistic avatar is ready. Try creating videos with it. Also, click the feedback button to share what you think. Hope you enjoy.
Not too bad, right? And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the AI voice. Now you can see I have a bunch of voice clones here. The first one is actually a default voice clone that Heygen created when I was creating the avatar. And then the second and the third one is actually imported from 11 Labs. So the second one is actually instant voice clone. And then the third one is the professional voice clone from 11 Labs, which has the highest quality. And that's why I was importing it for my avatar. Now, in case you do want to interested in how you integrate 11 Labs voice, what you can do here is that click on this integrate third-party voice, and then just like kind of import the voice through your 11 Labs API key. So let's just going back to 11 Labs API key if you do have it. So what you can do is to generate an API key and then just untrack this restrict key, and then just kind of use whatever name that you have. You create it and copy it to the dashboard, and going back to Heygen, and then just paste this API key inside and confirm. And then it will just kind of load all your voices that you have from 11 Labs. So as you can see here, back from 11 Labs, I have 2 clones. So if you go to my voices, it has my instant voice clone and also my professional voice clone. And in case you want to know how to do that, you can actually go to this plus tab here and then just create instant voice clone, with 10 seconds of audio samples. Or if you do prefer professional, you need to upload at least 30 minutes to get a very high quality voice clone of yourself. So back to the portal, you simply need to check these two things, just chat it to be on, and then it will automatically add the 11 Labs voice like this. Okay, so that's how you import 11 Labs voice here. Okay, so we have done all the heavy lifting for the avatar creation. Now let's head back to the n8n workflow and actually trigger the avatar video generation. So what we can do here is that we click on this node. The very first step we need to do is actually to obtain the API credentials from Heygen. So what we can do is that create new credentials and just rename this to Heygen. And then we'll head back to the Heygen portal. We'll click on the settings tab like this. Click on subscriptions and API, choose Heygen API, and then you'll be able to see a copy button next to the API token. So just copy it. And just note that for free plan, you do have 10 credits, which is roughly equal to around 10 minutes of video generation. So it's pretty much a lot for our testing purposes. So if we go back here, and we'll need to type XAPI key, and then just paste it in the API value that you just copied and save it. All right. And then there are a bunch of other things we need to configure. So first of all, the JSON body that we need to have for this particular generate API. So you can see it may look intimidating, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So for every of this video generation request, we have 3 elements. We have the character element, which is how the avatar is looking like and also how it is positioned within the video frame. And we also have a voice parameter, which is basically choosing which voice we'll be using. And also you can configure the pitch, like how high the pitch should be, what is the speed for that voice, and also the emotion for the voice. So because we're reporting news, I just want to use a slightly more exciting emotion. And then more importantly is actually the background for the image. The background of the video. So this is something like the green screen replacement. If you do have a creative plan subscription for Heygen, you can now use a green screen background. But if you do not have it, you simply have to remove this background and also remove matting equals true, which means using a non-transparent background in our case. But if you do have, you can just leave 2 behind and then it will automatically generate such videos for you. And then the next thing is the dimension for the video, which is like the aspect ratio for the video. So we want a 9:16 video for mobile format. So we'll be using 720 for the width and 1280 for the height. And we also want caption to be automatically generated, as well as having a title for that video file. So everything looks good. The only thing I want to explain further is actually these offset and scale parameter. So what essentially telling us is that how we want the avatar is positioned. So having a offset X and Y is basically telling the avatar to move a little bit to the right and also move a little bit downwards. And then scale of 0.5 is basically like shrinking the avatar to be half the size so that it doesn't block the view for the article. And in fact, all of these elements could be found from the Heygen API documentation, which you can look through here. And if you just click on create avatar video, it has a very detailed documentation, including a playground to actually play with the avatar positioning. So you can actually, kind of configure this kind of thing to just kind of see what kind of offset you would like. And I highly recommend checking this API reference before you actually trigger the endpoint. So anyway, once you have everything set up, you just need to paste in the avatar ID and the voice ID that can be copied from the Heygen portal. So what we can do is to head back to the avatars, and then we go to this, and then we just need to copy this avatar ID, right? And then just paste this inside. And then we also go to the voice ID and pick the voice you would prefer. We'll get the voice ID from here and just paste this inside this voice ID column, save it. And now we can trigger this. And now the video generation request will be created, and we just need to wait probably less than 10 minutes for that to complete. Okay, so that's why the next step will be a wait node that will wait for 8 minutes until we get back the video. So let's just execute it, and now we'll wait for around 8 minutes. And now just while the wait, if you go back to the project tab from Heygen, you can actually see the new API triggered video. It's now under processing, and as well as seeing some other previous video that I've generated with the same API logic. So once the processing is done, you should be able to see the new video pops up in your projects folder. So what we're going to do next is to head back to n8n and then click on this get avatar video. We're going to choose the same credentials as Heygen The only thing that we need to pass is to pass in the query parameter, which is kind of like dragging and dropping this video ID we get from the previous step to this, and also having this video status.get as the URL. So now you can go ahead and execute this, and it should be able to return you a bunch of URLs, including the thumbnail URL, the video URL, and more importantly, the video URL with the caption blended in. So now let's take a look at the video URL by just opening it on Chrome. Hold up, here's a shocker. AI is already trimming tech entry-level jobs. Recent research shows that big tech firms have cut new grad hires by 25%, shifting to experienced pros instead. The reason? AI effortlessly automates routine tasks, making many junior roles less essential. Whether you're starting out in tech or just keeping an eye on trends, this update is a wake-up call about how fast the landscape is changing. Stay informed and adapt. Follow for more quick AI insights and updates. So you can see that the result is really not that bad, and this is how you automatically generate these kind of videos on autopilot. Okay, so the final step remaining is actually to upload this video file we obtained from Heygen to different social media platforms through Blotato. Now you can see that Blotato actually supports quite a lot of social media platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and more. I'm not going to go through every node one by one, but today I'm just going to use TikTok as one of the example. In case you're also interested in how to set up your Blotato upload machine, I've actually made another video just talking about that in detail, so feel free to check that out. Alright, to get started, the first thing you need to do is to obtain a Blotato account by signing up, and then once you have logged in, you should be able to see the setting page by going to the settings tab, like so. And then you'll be able to configure your social media accounts and eventually just connect your social media accounts through Blotato. And after doing that, you will be able to copy a bunch of accounts ID like here. So I've connected all my social media accounts. I can copy my Blue Sky account ID, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And the reason we need it is that now we go back to the n8n workflow and then click on prepare for published. So this step is actually just kind of obtaining all these Facebook IDs so that I can use Blotato to route through the file to different social media platform. So what I'm going to do here is I actually go to Blotato and then copy the account ID from TikTok and then just paste that in, save it. Okay, and then I'm just going to execute this step so that it returns a JSON result with the ID. And then afterwards, the next step we need to do is to set up the Blotato API credential so that we can actually make use of the upload API. So to do that, we can click on header off and then create new credentials. This time we're going to call it Blotato. And then to obtain the API key, you can scroll down to the API access here and copy API key. And just to note that if you're currently on a free trial of Blotato, clicking on this button will immediately upgrade it to the normal subscription, which is around $29 per month. So just note that if you do want to continue to upload to Blotato, you do have to pay for the subscription itself. But anyway, if you are in this step, you can now copy the API key and then paste it in here. And then the name for this is going to be Blotato API key. And then you can just save this. And then now when we look at the body parameter here, the only thing we need is actually the URL for the video file. So you can see that right now I'm actually using the field from the video URL without the caption to upload. But in case if you're interested in the video URL with the caption, what you can do is to delete this field and then just drag this video URL caption back here so that when you upload, it will actually upload the file with the caption. So now when I click on execute step, the step will then be executed and the file will be uploaded to Blotato. And then the very next step, which is also the final step we need to do, is to configure this TikTok node, again using the Blotato header off. Okay, now let's also look at the JSON body parameter. So this is basically just some TikTok specific parameters where you are able to specify a bunch of things. For example, whether you should tag the post as AI generated, whether you should also disable the comments, etc. But for now, I've just set everything for you, so you just have to execute this node. And before we do that, just a note of the content body here is basically just using the video caption that we have generated from the beginning of this tutorial, and also passing back the Blotato media URL so that it will be uploaded to TikTok. And then eventually this account ID is just the Blotato TikTok ID that we have obtained from the Blotato site. So now let's just go ahead and execute this step. And then the post will now be uploaded. And if I just head back to TikTok to see the post, and now you can see that the video has been successfully uploaded with the caption and with all the hashtags that we have here. Recent research shows that big tech firms have cut new. And if you're also interested in exploring other social media options here, what you can do is that go to the template and simply activate all these nodes and configure the node similar to how we did from TikTok. And there we go. We have just finished building this entire workflow where it will run on autopilot that searches viral AI news from Perplexity and generate a video script, as well as getting a screenshot from TechCrunch and a video caption, and also generated a high quality video from Heygen and uploaded to different social media platforms using Blotato. And if you find this tutorial useful, hit like and subscribe. It will really help the growth of this channel so that we can continue to deliver more tutorials like these. And if you do want to join a growing community of AI enthusiasts who are turning AI into real income, consider joining AI Builders Lab, which is linked in the description below. So that's it for this time. See you next time.